I wish it was 1999. We'd all be making a lot more money, including myself. But I think that here's what we have to remember. The valuation, we might say that the S&P is, valued higher than its average, but we're not looking at a Dow Jones or an S&P that's valued at, say, a 30 PE. It's not yet at that fever pitch. And remember, just because we have a few big heavyweights like Twitter and some of these other IPOs coming out, we don't have that same fever pitch that we did a dozen years ago. The other thing to remember is that even though there's less stocks today participating as far as going up versus down from a few weeks ago, the bulk of companies are going up. Or as you remember a dozen years ago, it was just a few of those big things like the Ciscos and JDS Uniphases and Yahoos that were going up, where most stocks were not. So I think we're pretty much on safe ground here. I'm pretty positive.
Zach, I hear Lee's points. They're solid points. But the fact that everything seems to be going up is actually what worries me.
Well, that, I think, in itself is probably an indication that we're not in a 1999 period and we're not in the kind of bubble you're talking about, because such words would have been heresy in 1999. Then it was like, how far could the party go? And while it is certainly, understandable within the media that we talk every day about the indices making new highs, NASDAQ, as we just saw, is still 20+% below its March of 2000 high, which means for the past 13 years, if you had been indexed in that, you still would be down. It's hard to depict that, in my mind, as a bubble. And the very fact that we are so obsessed on finding the looming bubbles and then pricking them is in itself an indication of the fact that while the markets are going up, there's no particular frothiness. The definition of things getting kind of irrationally exuberant is that people first have to be exuberant. And while the markets are going up, I see a lot more worry, concern, anxiety, confusion, frustration that people are missing it, and skepticism that there's anything fundamental behind it.
I want to know, Zach, where is this market, if this market is headed higher, which sectors are actually going to take us there? Because when you look at the 10 S&P sectors right now, many of them are trading at a very expensive valuation. Which sectors do you think could really help provide this next leg up for the S&P 500?
Well, I can tell you, I don't think healthcare, which has done awfully well this year, right? I mean, that's hard to imagine that 2014 is going to be a banner year for the insurers and the HMOs. I mean, I don't mean that they're going to do badly. I just mean it's hard to see them particularly leading the market. Housing has had a great year. Housing stocks, housing-related stocks. Hard to see that being the nature of 2014. I still look for technology industrials, which really are key to that kind of global story. Sometimes it's worked over the past years. Sometimes it's been terrible. But that's where the locus of change is, and it's where I think it's going to continue to be.